So let's say you found the skeleton. How would you tell it's a dinosaur? You personally, how would you decide?
Well, interesting question. I don't know. I'd have to do some research on that.
Hey everybody, and Merry Christmas on the 11th day of Christmas.
Christmas.
All right, so we are here for Kent with Bent 74, How Kent Stole Christmas, of course based on How the Grinch Stole Christmas. Now, I do prefer the animated version over the Jim Carrey version. However, that one had a harder to use movie poster, so I went with the Jim Carrey version of How the Grinch Stole Christmas. So, let's see. We are here for Kent with Bent. We are starting CSE 102 201.
Yeah,
201 class 5, which is just
this is a 200 level class, guys.
Oh yeah, this is the big time.
This is going to be incredibly different, and you'll hear so many things you've never heard Kent say before.
Yes, well, a little bit actually. Well, we did hear him say some new stuff last time, which I don't even want to mention. If you want to see that dumpster fire, go back last time, because my goodness, was that the worst. Anyway, now
pretty awful.
We do have some drinking rules, and also we may be joined by an additional guest sometime in about a half hour or so. We're not sure yet. Our drinking rules are: we drink whenever Kent Hovind says something so stupid we just kind of have to, which happens a lot. That's our most common drink trigger. We also drink whenever he gets something unironically right, and also without it just being a quotation. We also drink whenever Kent Hovind goes all Godwin's Law on us, and mentions anything to do with the National Socialist German Workers' Party, or their leader, or their various activities in, like the 20s, 30s, 40s, whatever. We also drink whenever Kent Hovind tells a story that just didn't happen, because it's... Oh! We also drink whenever that happens, whenever Godzilla or Mothra comes by. So I just took a bit of my pecan beer. Also, so that was Godzilla. Mothra can come by too. That's fine. There's also, if you are a channel member, you can, if you put one of the emojis for Godzilla, Mothra, or King Ghidorah in your super chat, when you super chat, we'll take a drink for that. Also, anyone who super chats any kind of variation on AIG or dicks, yeah, we're going to drink for that. Basically because AIG are gigantic copyright trolls who just like to claim things left and right. And me, as well as a bunch of other people, including Apologia and Vice Rhino and Godless Engineer, have all had, like, dozens of our videos taken down, often long after they're uploaded, by AIG. And then we have to slowly get them back, and it's a big pain. So yeah, AIG are a bunch of dicks. Now, the trick is that dicks is not something that YouTube is going to let you say. So you have to get clever with it in order to get the point across. Also, we take a drink whenever Kent Hovind tells a joke that doesn't land. And I think I've covered all of them. Oh, no, predictions. Sometimes we'll make it like if Kent says this, we'll take a drink, and then he says it, so we take a drink. Oh, Venerable Beat, you heard of vocal fry? Get ready to get a paragraph. Oh, yeah, you heard vocal fry. Yeah, well, so actually, my voice is actually kind of on the creaky side anyway. So, sorry about that. Anyway, let's get started with this. You ready there, Bent?
Yeah, I guess so.
Okay, good luck.
Thank you. I will need it.
Good. All right. And we are talking about what's on our seminar tape number 1, going through at a snail's pace, chasing every rabbit and kicking every dog that we come by, talking about things that we never get time to talk about in the seminar. We hope this will give you some ammunition to be better equipped to handle the evolution religion that is running rampant in this world.
I just realized when he said kick every dog or kill every rabbit or whatever, he said that like it was a joke. That was a joke that didn't land. I'm going to take a drink.
Yeah, I don't know those phrases like as commonly used phrases.
No, me
that
neither.
might mean something else. They just sound violent and horrible.
Yeah.
I want to start off with talking about what do most Americans believe. According to surveys, year after year, from 1991 to 05, which is this year, consistently, a very high percentage of people are not buying into this evolution theory.
Uh-oh. That means we have to find the current look on that, because I'm pretty sure that's changed a bit.
I don't know, man. That's 91 and then 95. That's practically right now.
Well, let's see what we have from Gallup from, let's see. We're going to use the tools. I'm just googling right now. That's all this is. And so we're going to go with the past year. And for $5, Carrie Bronson says, I'm currently writing a slash fic called Egg Salad. Yes, it's a bad pun. Which Apologia thought of first. Yes, it's exactly what you think it is. Oh my goodness. I'm gonna pass on reading that one, Carrie. Sorry,
I'll read it.
Oh, will you actually?
Oh, of course not.
Yeah, I wouldn't. Goodness.
But maybe.
All right.
Maybe I'll read it.
Let's see.
Dapper and I met in the Navy. That's
true.
Yeah, that's both of us. So.
I can't find it quickly enough. So if any of my mods can find the thing, because the Gallup polls recently did a thing in the last year or so, and it turns out that now the majority of
So would explain this pun to my friend.
Americans are not creationists anymore. So we're just going to continue on because I can't find it quickly enough, so I don't want to spend that much time on dead air.
My answer was going to be Americans generally believe you probably shouldn't chase rabbits, and definitely you shouldn't be kicking dogs. That's what I think Americans believe.
Yep.
For those of you who think Americans are worse than that, most of us are not. Most of us don't think you should do that. But
I've never taken a poll. I can't say.
You know what? I could be wrong. Maybe I've never known anyone to be in favor of those things. Other Americans or non-Americans, so it's hard for me to know for sure, but yeah.
I think more of them okay with chasing rabbits because I know people who hunt rabbits. Oh, there we go.
Now it's around 55 to 57% of the people believe God made the world in the last 10,000 years.
Yeah, that trend has reversed.
You have to figure out, or you have to realize, this is in spite of all the intensive propaganda since 1963 in the textbooks that we talked about last week.
Right, because of the intensive propaganda from people like you. Okay.
What was the percent he gave?
It was about 67% of people believe in evolution.
I misheard then.
Yeah.
I misheard.
Or believe in creationism.
I misheard the number he gave because I thought the number was going up and then back down again. I'm like, I don't know what would that prove, Kent, if that's what the numbers were, but yeah, I don't know what his numbers were.
I'm going to say that...
Or the one he said out loud, at least.
Scott says do not kick dogs. I'm going to say that is a good presumption. Presumptively, do not kick dogs. However, there are circumstances, like if a dog is attacking you, where I do think it's appropriate to kick a dog. But they are few and far between, and I've never been in that situation.
Yeah, I've come close with unleashed dogs, like sprinting after my dogs on a walk, and I was like, if I have to defend myself or my dogs, I will. And I never had to, thank God, because I'm strongly against animal abuse.
All right.
Also against people abuse, too.
For 10 shekels, Many Karen says, AIG are tools. Do we... All right, we're going to put one in the chat if you think that's going to count as a drink trigger. 2 if you think it doesn't count.
I mean, I just finished my drink, so there's my answer.
Well, because it's close, like I can get it, because I've seen people use tool as slang, but not very often. I don't know, man. It's iffy.
Here we've been brainwashing the kids intensively that the Earth is billions of years old, and they're still not buying it. Now, when I bring this up in debates and...
I mean, they are now.
Things like that at universities, I'll say, look, 60% of the Americans...
Kent's brainwashing people to think the Earth's 6,000 years old, and they're not buying it. So,
well, yeah, there's that.
That seems like he's just completely clueless on what's actually happening.
Yeah. Well, not too many people are voting, and enough people have voted once, so I'll take a drink. But many tools is a little iffy on that one. So there we go. I took a drink for your shekels.
Now, was it a coincidence that I happened to drink at the same time? Maybe, but I did drink.
Believe this stuff that you're teaching. Anybody want to guess what the evolutionist response is?
Okay, so as of 2019, it was only 40% of Americans who believed God created man in present form, which is still really high, but yeah, it's no longer the majority.
They're dumb. If they only took a course on evolution, then they would understand.
I wouldn't say they're dumb. They're ignorant for the most part. Like, look, there's a lot of really basic things in one field that people outside that field just don't know, right? So
I learned a lot in my freshman level biology course called what was that? Genetics and Evolution.
There you go.
It was it was a 102, Bio 102 at my school.
Yeah.
Never had been taught that before because I went to private YEC school in a same kind of church. So
Like there's, and it's the case in any field. Like I have a book on Egyptian grammar near me, and like anyone who studied any Egyptian would know, say, like what the vulture hieroglyphic is doing, but like it's pretty basic. But most actual regular humans who've never bothered to look into it don't know the first thing. So yeah, there's no reason most people would know all the good reasons why we know that the Earth is old.
If only they were smart,
No, if only they were better informed.
It is always they're too dumb to understand.
Nope. I'm just gonna take a drink for just casually attributing malice and like thinking that everyone is dumb to just scientists generally.
I mean, look, how many times has Uncle Kenton Relation been presented with scientific facts that he just straight up denies?
Hundreds.
It's the same ones over and over and over.
Yeah. He's been corrected on virtually everything he says multiple times.
You can't believe your own drivel. There's no way.
I don't think. I think he believes some of it. I don't think he believes most of it. But then again, I go back and forth.
I was in a debate one time, and one of the professors, and he was saying about how that people who don't understand and believe in creation, and I said, how many of you folks, there are about 1,200 people out there, I said, how many of you folks in the audience took that to mean you're dumb and he's smart? And they all raised their hand. All those creationists raised their hand. He said, I never said that. You're putting words in my mouth. I said,
This is a thing that I don't think happened. This sounds like a shower conversation.
This doesn't happen.
Yeah, and especially I say that because I've seen pretty much all of the Kent Hovind recordings I can find of his long time ago debates with actual college professors, and that never happened in any of them. So I'm taking a drink.
It's really like I want to believe there's good in everyone part of me really wants to believe that he's telling the truth, but it just sounds like such an obvious lie the way he's saying it. It's nothing about that sounds like it really happened.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to put words in your mouth, sir. I'm trying to explain how your statement came across to these people. When you say people don't believe like you because they haven't been educated enough, you're implying that they're dumb and you're smart.
No, the fact that you take it that way actually does make me think that you're dumb, Kent. Because that's how a dumb person would take that statement. That's how a person who doesn't know how words
take it.
Yeah, that too. Yeah. Yep.
Once again, how many of you understood him to say that? And they all raised their hand again. The guy got mad. He never understood. That is exactly what it means. It is purely ego-driven. Now, it is a fact, of course, that majority opinion doesn't prove anything. These 60% could be wrong. I would agree.
Hey, that's true, Kent. I'll take a drink.
But it is just a simple fact that all the surveys show a very high percentage, the majority in most cases, are believing what the Bible teaches basically. God made the world in less than 10,000 years.
I'll say that at the time that was a true statement, but I'm not going to drink for it because now it is the other way around, even in the United States. I think, I want to say like one of the only countries that still like typically reports anti-evolutionism as a majority, I think it's like Turkey, which is also one of the few countries that actually reports majority belief in angels, which is interesting. What are you going to do?
Less than 10,000 years ago. Only about 10%, roughly plus or minus a few percentage points.
Ghostly Enigma says for $5, AIG are a bag of Richards with a few Johnsons. Now, see, that's very, very clear and clever. I'll take a drink for that. Oh, Many, I see your game. Many Karen put it in as one of the blue super chats, which is the equivalent of like the 2 USD ones. He's trying to like economize on how he's calling AIG a bunch of dicks. I get it. Clever. That is actually clever that way, but I'm not going to let it happen a second time. You got to come up with something new next time.
About 10% of the population claims they are atheistic evolutionists. So,
what?
Apparently a smaller portion of the population says that they're both evolutionists and atheists.
No.
Well, I mean, it is... If you take
not according to that chart, there's 18% that
God made the world in less than 10,000 years.
potentially be
less than
atheist?
10,000 years ago. Only about 10%, roughly plus or minus a few percentage points, about 10% of the population.
All right.
No, he's right, 9,
Look,
13.
I'm just not hearing his numbers when he's saying them out loud. I'm hearing different numbers.
Oh, okay.
I don't know. I heard like 30% or something. Never mind.
Oh.
Claims they are atheistic evolutionists. So, you know, there's no God involved, just pure evolution. And you look, somewhere around 30% believe
Now he's saying
God
30.
guided the process of evolution.
Okay.
So they also would believe there's a God and God did it, but he did it through evolution. So I guess you could say by that logic that about 90% of the population believes God created the world. So you can see from the surveys here, about 10% of the population are atheistic evolutionists. And I have said for years, I think that 10% needs to go start a private school and teach evolution to anybody that wants to pay and come learn it.
I mean, in some cases they do, right? There are non-theistic private schools that you can find, and they do tend to teach science. The problem that Kent really has is the idea that we're going to teach science in public schools, because he would rather that science essentially be skipped over, or large sections of science, I should say, be skipped over, rather than anything that contradicts his version of Christianity be taught. But that's just not how it goes, right? And look, it's not just Christianity, right? So if you believe in the somewhat common belief that Hinduism, or Scientology for that matter, has, that the Earth is actually trillions of years old and not, like 4.5 billion, they're not going to teach you that in school. Or if you believe, say, that this is a big part of, say, the Jewish religion, that Moses and the Exodus happened literally in the way described in Exodus, I mean, no one's going to teach you that in history class, because there's literally no evidence of that having been a thing. And there's evidence against it. So, yeah, you're not going to hear that in history class. Or if you're a Muslim and you believe in the moon splitting story from Muhammad, right? That Muhammad split the moon in two and put it back together again. You're not going to hear about this in astronomy class, because there's literally no evidence that the moon was ever split in half and ever put together again. It just is apparently a thing. Okay, AIG, this is for 15 shekels from Many Karen. AIG or wieners, triple the sum, now drink. Oh, I drank for the last one too, but I'll drink again. Thank you very much for the shekels. Which, by the way, Many, sometime, maybe like in Discord or something, if you know, tell me how the Israeli government settled on that symbol, because I like it, but I don't, like, what's it from? Because most of the other symbols for currency I understand, but I'm not sure where that one comes from. Anyway.
It should not be taught in the public school system at taxpayer expense. Evolution is a religion in every sense of the word. You have to believe all sorts of things.
Okay.
Real sense.
Yeah, we're going to drink for how dumb that is.
It is really dumb.
So, here's the thing. The things you believe are just the things that you think are true, right? So I believe I'm sitting in a chair. I believe I'm drinking beer. I believe I'm hosting Kent with Bent. I believe I'm on Discord right now with Bent. I believe that my phone is in front. Like, all of these things are just things I believe. So if we're going to just bring down evolution to things you believe, then almost everything becomes a religion. Like, hey, who won the last Packers game, Bent?
The Packers.
Well, sounds like you're a Packersist, and that's your religion, because you believe the Packers both exist and they won their last game.
Not that far off.
Yeah.
But no, I get it. Like, look, there's evidence for evolution. Kant doesn't understand it and then rejects it at the same time. And then, like, misinterprets it. How do you say? Basically strawmans it. Come on, man. You're just showing your ignorance, Kent.
Ooh,
And that's like the best they could say about him. Because that, like, how else would you describe evolution as a religion if you know anything about it?
Yeah, or religion, for that matter.
I guess. Maybe, you know what? Maybe he understands evolution well and just pretends like he doesn't.
No.
And he has no idea what religion is. That's possible.
No, if he understood evolution well, he wouldn't do things like say that half of each of your chromosomes is from one parent and the other half is from the other, split down the middle of the DNA strand.
He says it to his people because he thinks that that's what they want to hear.
It's
It's not a very
maybe.
good theory, I know.
All right, but
Saying
Goopdu3
it's a possibility.
says, I believe Gen 5 is the best Pokemon generation, which gives me an idea. So, guys, put in the chat something that you believe that you would not consider your religion. And I'll read out a few of them.
To believe in evolution. And if they want to believe it, that's perfectly fine. This is America, the land of the free and the home of the slave, or knave, whatever. And you can believe whatever you want, and you can teach whatever you want.
Not
I'm
funny.
just going to take a drink. John Smith, yes, split down the middle of the DNA strand. He thinks that the double helix unwinds, splits down the middle, so you now have two single helices, and one single helix from mom and one single helix from dad join up together and then reform the double helix as two separate chromosomes. Yeah, it is completely bonkers. We've actually covered it on the show.
Yeah, he also thinks that evolutionists think that the more number of chromosomes you have, the higher you are evolved.
Yeah.
And then proves that that's like absurd, and then thinks that he's smart by proving that. It's so stupid. He's so dumb.
All right, well, so I'm getting that the symbol for the shekel is for the new Israeli shekel called new shekels in Israel. In Hebrew, shekel hadesh, new with a het, and so shekel chadash with a het. Therefore, the symbols is the letter shin and het combined. Oh, okay. No, I get that. I like that, actually. It's like nicely symmetrical, but it also does combine shin and het. Okay, no, that's pretty cool. Thanks. Thank you for letting me know. That was, I now get it, and I like that. That's clever. Okay, moving on. Oh, we got a few things here. I believe workers' ownership of the means of production. I believe in the workers' ownership of the means of production. I believe my dogs are napping. I believe marijuana is the best medicine for Kent Servan. I believe Kent Hovind hasn't evolved. Actually, I believe that too. Let's see. I believe trans rights are human rights. Nice. I believe that Gamamon is the best boy of Digimon. There you go. I believe that I will not disintegrate tomorrow morning. I believe that it's possible there may be life in some other form on other planets. Well, thank you all for letting me know things that you believe, but don't consider to be your religion.
But not at my expense. If you want to teach evolution, go start a private school.
Insert obligatory joke about Kent Hovind's tax troubles. And moving on. And for $5, Caleb Scherstad says, AIG is a closed canopy of Blue Origin rockets flying as fast as possible towards misunderstanding. We're going to take a drink for that because take a look what those Blue Origin rockets look like. Here we go.
Now, this guy writes in this textbook, biology textbook, Discovering Biology. He said, 1994 survey showed 46% of adults in the United States did not think humans had evolved from earlier species of animals. And
I just realized I've missed a super chat. Valkyrie Vision, before we even started, sent a $1.99 super chat and said, I may not be able to participate in the live chat, but I wanted to show my support in advance of this. So thank you so much for your... And then it was said constant, but then it was cut off. Not sure what else came after that. But thank you very much, Valkyrie Vision. I really appreciate the support. And I just wanted to put that out there because it was actually a super sticker that came in with a message, but whatever. Didn't want to skip over that.
Additional 9% of those surveyed were not sure. The results of this and other similar surveys are startling because evolution has been a settled issue in science for nearly 150 years. You talk
Sounds
about
like we need to improve the education of evolution, because this whole time Kent, I believe, has been talking about like what the public believes versus what the science actually is, what the facts are, what's being taught in the universities. And clearly it's not the same thing as what most people believed back in 2000 and in 91 and 95 and his other surveys he had.
Go-driven statement, you know. In other words, how dare you question our theory? Everybody knows it's true.
No one said how dare. They said it's curious that something that's so well settled is still contentious among the public. That's it. That's all it is.
This is the type of dogmatism you get in any cult, okay? All cults do this, you know, we're right, nobody else is right, we're the only ones right, you have to have us to guide you through this wilderness and be a beacon of light to guide you into all truth, okay?
Wow.
You're such a projectionist. That's your religion, Kent.
Kent should be installed at the top of a lighthouse. Because that's a whole lot of projection right there.
Ayo.
And
like that.
for 10 shekels, Mini Karen says, as a gay man, AIG are what I desire. Well, oof. Okay, look, normally I would say there's nothing wrong with being gay, but if that makes you want AIG, I don't know, man.
No, I think... Look, I'm not going to get into the biology of it all, but I think the implication is that it's a penis's...
Yes, that's why I took a drink.
Oh, I didn't know you drink.
Oh, yeah, I took a drink.
Definitely did.
Drink for AIG or dicks. So. Oh, so Faithful, Honest, and True is here in the chat. And so Faithful, Honest, and True, you have one chance. If your next chat isn't confirming or answering this question, you're out of here. Are you the Faithful, Honest, and True who managed to make the song In the Navy by the Village People even gayer? So... if his next chat after you guys hear that isn't that, then one of my mods, just get him out of here.
And this textbook author thinks, you know, it's just startling
was
that
such
people
a-
still believe.
It was such a loving video, Faithful.
Oh, all
Honest,
the
which you made,
Christian-
too. It was like,
all the
this
Christian
is how
love.
Christians show their love by wanting to kill and hate people.
I especially like the barely veiled idea that I should be beheaded. That was especially nice. Oh, and for €5, John Smith said, AIG are not homologous, but analogous to the claspers of cartilaginous fish. Damn! That is good. I'm taking a drink for that one. That is amazing. Wow.
Someone has a thesaurus.
That is so awesome. That is not one that I would have seen coming. I love it.
In God? He's just amazed at that. Well, anyway, the Washington Times article, 1998, said 55% of the natural scientists, this would be people involved in the natural sciences, biology, etc., believe in Darwinian evolution. Now, that is a majority.
I mean, in 1998, maybe. But at this point, of scientists involved in fields that have to do with evolution, it's all of the publishing scientists who actually continually to publish good work, right? Like, there are no active peer-reviewed research programs that contest evolution anymore. It just doesn't happen, because it's like a peer-reviewed research program contesting the spherical nature of the Earth. It just doesn't happen. Okay, Faithful, Honest, and True. Guys, get him out of here.
Okay, but just barely. 55% of the people of the scientists believe in Darwinian evolution. Of course, in order to become a natural scientist and get a job at a university or something like that, you're going to have to go through course after course after course on evolution and go through all the brainwashing. How many of the Soviet teachers 10 years ago believed in communism?
Who knows? Because you know what happened if you didn't 10 years ago at this point in the Soviet Union? Yeah, they kind of shot you. No one's going to shoot you for not believing in evolution. Like, look at John Sanford. Dude's still publishing books.
All of them. At least they said they did. You know why? Because if you said you didn't, what would happen? You'd be you'd be in Siberia if you lived, okay? And here in America, if you don't profess to believe in evolution, you'll be in academic Siberia. You will lose your job.
I mean, one, no you won't. So, I'm going to have to take a drink to deal with this, right? And then we might actually have to go to an early break because we're going to be adding someone to the call soon. And that's not something I want to have to do while I'm actually on air. Plus, I'm low on this beer. So I'm going to actually, when I come back, bring like 2 beers with me. And hopefully it won't be a very long break, but there we go. So, one, every single claim of someone being fired for believing in evolution that I've been able to track down, actually that's not what happened. So for instance, there's things like Armitage said he was fired for being a creationist and finding things in the fossils that no one wanted him to find. One, he didn't find anything of significance because, guess what? He didn't actually take proper controls, and so his find is completely worthless no matter what it is. And Kerry Bronson has been a member for 9 months at the level of Amnia. Thank you very much, Kerry Bronson. I really appreciate it. Guys, if you'd like to join the channel, you get a fancy little icon next to your name. Your name turns green. You get early access to videos. It's pretty great. There's a link down below. It starts at $1.99.
Less than a cup of coffee.
It is. It's less than a cup of coffee. Anyway, so one, it's actually just not happening. People are being fired for being creationists. What has happened is that people have been disciplined for teaching non-science in science classrooms. Also, yeah, it's actually kind of sort of like if you went to like your history class and your teacher was teaching you ancient aliens, or you went to geography class and you were getting flat Earth. There simply is actually no like option around here for non-evolution in science because it's extremely well supported. So yeah, I actually do think that some people probably should have been fired for teaching anti-evolutionism in the same way they should be fired for teaching flat Earth or anti-vaxxer crap. Anyway, and Bent Hoven, no relation, who's been a member for 19 months at the tetrapod level, says, "Do it, or you'll never become a tetrapod like me."
This means you.
Yeah.
Sign up now, unless you don't want to or can't afford to.
Yeah, in which case, absolutely do not. But
Also, guess what I learned recently?
What's
How
that?
to do that message I sent.
Oh, I actually don't know how to do it.
Yeah. Well,
So,
you can do it like once a month for free, I think.
actually, that means that this year you're going to get the final membership badge, Bent.
Oh, yeah.
No one has ever even seen that before.
No one?
No one, except for me.
Not even you?
Yeah,
Okay.
except for me. Sorry. No humans have seen it before. Only a dinosaur.
Just one dinosaur. Got
Just
it.
one dinosaur. Right. All right. Well, we're going to take a quick break while I grab some beer and double check to see if our other guest is coming. Which hopefully that all works out. And if not, we'll just continue on. So here we go. Hey everybody, we are back, and while you can only see one guest on the screen, we do have another one, so why don't you say hi, new guest?
Hi, new guest.
There you go. Alright, so Vishanti's here with us. I invited Vishanti on because Bent's presence was going to be up in the air a little bit, because Bent
Yes.
is feeling some symptoms from a
Well,
booster shot.
so Bent forgot that getting with Bent's on Tuesday and scheduled his booster for Tuesday morning instead of Wednesday morning, or something like that. So
Ooh.
yeah, other than misunderstanding numbers that Kent is saying and being a little tired, I don't actually feel so bad, but I wasn't sure if I would be able to make it for this one.
Yeah, man, I
I'm
know what
here.
it's like to get like that flu and booster, and you feel okay for a little bit, and then all of a sudden it's like getting hit with a freight
Well,
train.
I
Yeah.
feel like it would have hit already based on how early in the day I got it. I don't know for sure though.
Yeah.
And we'll see. We'll see how, I feel fine now, other than my ears hurt because of the words that Uncle Kent, no relation, has been saying, but it's every week.
And many Karen is happy to not be the only Yid. So just thought I'd let you know,
Was not
Vishanti.
even reading the live chat just now. I guess I should do that.
I'm just letting you know that many Karen is happy for a fellow Yid to be on the channel.
Hooray!
All right, and we have some
Hidden
we have
Hebrews
some-
and Shebrews.
we have some super chats. Josiah Hansen says for $2, AIG is explicitly mentioned in Ezekiel 23:20. Take a drink. Carrie Bronson for $10 says, my 9th grade history teacher, the year he would retire, made us all watch Expelled and discuss it. Oof. I pointed out that movie was very good evidence for evolution. Yes.
Yikes.
And Carrie Bronson also for $5 says, it proved that creationists have nothing, so they stoop to propaganda and obfuscation. Teacher was unhappy. That is amazing, dude. Oh, I love that story. All right. Unfortunately, though, it's time for more Kent. Boo. Here we go.
I was in a debate here just recently, and I asked the professor, I said, if a professor in your university, I think it was University of Alaska, Fairbanks.
You did just say it was a debate just here, Kent. So now you're telling me it's in Alaska? That's like the opposite end of the earth, but okay, whatever.
Yeah, as soon as I had a debate, it's like, oh, are you trying to make this up now? Okay.
I mean,
Got it.
I wouldn't put it past him to have had a debate in Fairbanks. Like, that's not a crazy thing to have
Yeah,
happened.
but the way he's saying it makes me think he's making it up right now.
Fair enough.
Maybe sometimes he doesn't lie when you think he's lying.
I mean, he has told the truth about things. Sure, it has happened.
Well, I guess in the context of like, like a debate or a story, maybe they're, maybe some of them are partially true or whatever. Right?
Yeah.
I know he's had a lot of debates, so yeah, maybe he talked to this guy.
Well, John Smith says, drink for things that didn't happen yet, or drink for things that didn't happen. Not yet. I'm going to hold out. We're going to see how this conversation goes, as Kent calls it.
Yeah,
it's maybe. It's maybe right now.
It's suspicious, man. He's so suspicious.
Well, every single debate story is suspicious, but we know he's had debates, so he can tell the truth about debates. So we can't just automatically drink anytime he tells a story about a debate.
I can.
Well, okay.
That if you had a professor in your university who did not believe in evolution, what would you do? He said to the effect, I would make sure they lost their job.
I don't think that happened. I'm going to take a drink.
What?
Yeah, I don't think that happened. Vishanti, you did get a drink before you came on, right?
I do in fact have a drink. It is not alcoholic.
That's okay.
However, I did procure myself some THC in chewable form.
There you go.
Oh, nice.
Wait, you didn't get some Manischewitz wine?
No, that stuff's cough syrup. Oh my
This
gosh.
is really gross. I've had some, man.
I got a headache just thinking about it, and I've had
Yes.
a headache all day.
Look, if Manischewitz is your thing, that's great, but like, man,
Ugh.
yeah. I have some family that likes it, and I tried some, and I was just like, no, I'm gonna never drink this again. It was rough.
Yeah.
Oh, and for 15 shekels, Many Karen says, AIG don't need moral fiber or spine. They're upheld by a baculum, and that's my budget. Awesome. Take a drink. Scott Duke for $4.99 US says, one, am I the only one who feels indignant when I hear evolution is a religion? No, you're not. Two, this super chat is in response to that awesome intermission music. There you go. And of course, we do have one of the musicians and the songwriter here, which is, of course, Beethoven.
Yes, I did write and record that song, not on drums or bass.
You were, what, rhythm guitar?
Just all the guitar parts.
Oh, all the guitar parts, okay.
Yeah.
So you were lead and rhythm?
Both channels of both, yeah.
Nice. Well, there you go. So yeah, he is, I would say
and
that...
I also had THC in me when I recorded that.
Nice.
Splendid.
Spoiler.
All right, here we go.
Because you're not qualified to teach in this university if you don't believe in evolution. That was his thinking. I mean, that is how bad it is. We'll go through when we get to seminar part 7.
Can't believe someone would be required to teach science in order to have a science posting.
Honestly, okay, look, creationists, yeah, this is me being mean to you. So yeah, you can complain about all you want. I do think that if you teach people things as nonsensical as creationism in a science classroom, that you should be fired, and I don't care if you have tenure. However, that's not the world we live in. And like I said before, basically every single instance of someone being fired for being a creationist that you investigate, including all those ones in No Intelligence Allowed with Ben Stein. That's his name, right? Ben Stein?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. All nonsense. The eye drop commercial guy.
He actually used to be in government as well, which is kind of funny since most people don't.
What did he do in government?
He was a mayor or something, I believe. Memory's kind of fuzzy on this. I might be confusing him with someone else, but if I'm wrong, blame the THC. That could also be Jerry Springer that I'm thinking of. But in my
brain, those are very different celebrities.
It could be both. It could be both.
Yeah, it could be both.
Could be both. But what I was going to say,
Jerry Springer was a man.
I recall being in. I think I was in a junior in high school, and found a creationist type of booklet thing in my science teacher's classroom, and I was like, oh, look, teacher, I found this on your shelf. And she was like, get that out of my classroom. So she obviously did not realize that it had been put there on her shelf and insisted that I take it home with me, so I did.
No. All right, here we go.
Case after case after case where people have actually lost their job because they dared to question evolution. We'll go on seminar part 7. We will...
No. Okay, taking a drink because that was dumb, and I'm going to tell you why after I finish the drink. Well, not finish the whole thing. Take a drink. You know what I mean. Okay, you're allowed to question evolution. That's what evolutionary biologists do as their main job every single day, right? That's what the job of an evolutionary biologist is to question evolution. What you're not allowed to do is pretend that the firm conclusions of science are what they are not, or to pretend that there is evidence that does not exist. That is not what you're allowed to do.
Yeah.
Or lie about anything.
Or lie about evidence, or intentionally misrepresent your data.
The thing is that when... Oh, by the way, I'm seeing that we have nearly 40 people who haven't hit that like button, so please guys, do me a favor and hit that like button. Maybe
they all hit dislike. We can't know.
I'm okay with that, which actually, I'm a little upset now that the, actually it was another video that Vishanti was on, where I asked everyone to hit dislike, and now no one can see all those dislikes, so now it just looks like people didn't like the video, because it's still my most disliked video, and I'm very happy about that, because it has 100 dislikes on it or something. But, oh well. I missed the dislike counter. I know why they got rid of it, and I understand it, and I can sympathize.
I mean, there's a lot of places that have resources for you to see the dislikes now.
That's true.
So,
but most people don't have those installed.
True.
But oh well, here we go. I'm sure that various movie companies that made things like Ghostbusters 2016 are happy about it, because now their most disliked movie trailer of all time is harder to find out that it's the most disliked movie trailer of all time, which is Sony, by the way. Sony makes bad movies as a rule. Although Into the Spider-Verse was amazing. If you haven't seen it, go see it.
I haven't seen it.
Agreed.
Oh, well, Bent, we might need to see Into the Spider-Verse.
Okay.
It is really good.
It's so good.
I've heard that.
It's so wholesome.
Yeah.
I've heard, and I think I've seen ratings on my favorite
Yeah.
movie
Also,
site,
Miles
IMDb.
Morales finally gets a movie because
Yeah.
Miles Morales is a great Spider-Man. So, anyway, here we go.
We'll go through case after case where people have actually lost their job because they dared to question evolution. It is just it's a sacred cow. You just don't dare make fun of the sacred cow of evolution. Now, the fact that a majority of scientists believe something means nothing, okay?
Well, okay. Let's say you take your car to 100 mechanics, and all of them are like, all right, look, man, you need a new serpentine belt.
He means nothing.
That
means nothing.
Well, so technically, it is logically fallacious to say that because most of the mechanics say you need a new serpentine belt, that means that it's true. However, there's this thing called a heuristic, right? And a heuristic is sort of a quick rule of thumb that you use as a human to reach a conclusion where you cannot afford to actually be rigorously logical. Because let's face it, in our day-to-day lives, you can't be rigorously logical about literally everything, right? So for instance, if you want to get in your car and start it up and drive to the store, you do not have the time to go through a rigorous logical check of all the things that could possibly go wrong before you bother to start up your car. You're just going to go with previous experience, even though technically induction is logically problematic. Whatever. A reasonable heuristic to go for is that when virtually all of the experts in a particular field agree, chances are that they're way closer to being right than you are if you disagree.
There's also a thing called credibility.
You're thinking of credibility. Yeah, credibility.
Yeah. Who's more credible? Crazy guys spewing nonsense while not even wearing a tie right now? Or
Well, it
people
depends.
who've been like heavily educated in what evolutionary biology is. He doesn't even
Well,
know what it
if
is at
I
all, right?
what
So
they
like,
say.
well, in the context of Kent's question, right? Like, yeah, I'm gonna trust the people who know what they're talking about, who teach evolution over.
How dare you not believe some backwoods
That's a
preacher
religion
from
because I
Alabama?
said so. So yay!
Yeah.
He's from Florida. We
Ow.
don't claim him.
Just think about it. Just think about it, right? Just ask a 5-year-old. Because if you're not getting all of your, academic rigor from 5-year-olds, are you really doing it right?
And I've learned tonight that apparently which language someone who's deaf in Canada is going to speak is a bit of a mess. Because apparently
Oh,
there are pockets of ESL, ASL, and British Sign Language. And I'm just like,
Oh,
oh,
boy.
goodness. That's a whole lot of
oh
nonsense.
boy.
By the way, the only one of those I know even a little bit of is ASL, which is American Sign Language, which is basically universal in the United States. Anyway, here we go.
There have been many times throughout the history of science where they taught things that were just absolutely wrong. They used to teach for decades, actually for centuries. They taught that the planets go around the Earth.
Oh my god.
Then-
Oh my god, I cannot believe that science isn't perfect immediately out the gate. Like I
Right?
can't believe everyone didn't know everything. Wait, how dare.
Oh, okay. First we have to read Vandalia 1998 super chat. Then we're gonna go over this picture. Then we're gonna see what Kent has going. It's gonna be a process. So give me a little bit. Vandalia 1998 for $4.99 US says, I'm in a voice chat playing WoW, and the question came up if Clifford the Big Red Dog was a kaiju. Any opinions? I'm gonna say no. So here's my thing for a kaiju. If it can't knock down a high-rise building, it's not a kaiju, right? So
I think Clifford could take down a high-rise building.
not just like maybe through some like comedy of errors, but not just by like knocking it over himself. Because Clifford is like in the comics, if I remember correctly, doesn't he fit in the kitchen in some circumstances?
I only remember his like snout fitting the building, but I
Okay.
could be misremembering that. So
All right. Look, I don't think Clifford could knock down like an actual steel structure high-rise building. And I think that's the requirement. Like Clifford always struck me as more like a brontosaurus size maximum, and I don't think a brontosaurus could just knock down like the Empire State Building. Like it would be big and it could certainly damage it, but it's not going to knock it down just by like pushing on it.
I will say, in reference to John Smith in the chat, says that Kant should be a geocentrist and flat earther if he was honest about being a Bible literist. Well, funny story
Uh-oh.
is that flat earthers have come for him before because
Mhm.
he, allegedly believes literally the Bible. And since they assert that the Bible teaches flat earth, why doesn't Kant believe it? And he finds them foolish and unscientific, and the irony meter broke.
Oh, yeah. Oh, here's the greatest part about that, though. I've seen him try to defend the globe Earth, and he's absolute trash at it.
Yep.
It's
Yep.
hilarious how bad he is at demonstrating that the Earth is a sphere, even though that's actually pretty easy to do. Like, it's amazing. Trying to watch Kent debunk. Okay, so so there's a few things here. One is, the moon here is given with an epicycle, which there's no reason to give the moon an epicycle, because the moon never has retrograde motion. The reason for epicycles, right, is that, so there's a particular direction that everything in the sky moves against the background sky that's a planet, right? And the ancient planets included the moon and the sun, because the planets are just the things that wander across the sky. Because the background stars are, from a human perspective, like on a human timeline, like one life to another, are just essentially fixed. Okay, the epicycles explained why sometimes some of the all of the planets, seem to go backwards. Instead of going east to west across the background of the star, sometimes they loop back to go the opposite direction, and they come back forward. And the actual reason for that is because the Earth sometimes passes them in their orbit. And so when you work out all the angles, yeah, that's how it works. But yeah, the moon doesn't do that. So the moon shouldn't have an epicycle. But next, as Vishanti was saying, yeah, imagine the idea that science might get a new idea when new data comes in and comes up with a better explanation. The horror! Like, my goodness. Jack of Hearts says that Jack of Hearts is my girlfriend. I cannot confirm or deny this. So, there you go. Jack of Hearts may or may not be my girlfriend, which is also true of the rest of chat.
There you go. Everyone, apparently, chat is Schrodinger's.
I just realized it's actually technically true that literally everyone and everything on the planet is either my girlfriend or not. It's one of those two things for literally everything.
Accurate.
Okay. Well, now that we've established that, let's see what Kent Hovind has to say about geocentrism.
Also, oh my god, someone in the chat said that dog slobber can't melt steel beam.
Oh, and someone also said, is Al-Qaeda a kaiju? No, it has to be a single organism. Like, it has to be a single thing. Like, maybe a single robot would count, like with Mechagodzilla. But yeah, it's going to be either a single robot or creature. Like, planes don't count, people don't, like a collection of people don't count. Yeah. Laser Fan asks if my girlfriend is a duck. My girlfriend either is or is not a duck.
Like a goose.
Well, you know what? You know the difference between ducks and geese is what people call them. There's actually no like phylogenetic way to separate geese out from ducks.
Jack Martin, so I'm like, that's a goose, you Philistine.
All right, I gotta hit play before I start getting into bad Arabic takes.
This is called the geocentric theory. Geo means Earth, okay?
Oh,
the helium.
You got that right. Geo does mean Earth. Take a drink.
Geocentric theory. Helio means sun. When people started first thinking, we're having a problem here, as they discovered the planets as going around, they would watch them. And it's very interesting, especially Mars is the problem planet, the primary one.
What?
Because Mars is going around the Earth, around the sun, and the Earth is going around the sun, but the Earth is going a little faster.
Yeah, that's true. Take a drink. That is true. Earth is going faster.
Right.
That's how orbits work.
Oh. He's about to explain retrograde motion, isn't he?
Yeah. Do you think Jack of Hearts... Oh, goodness. I just went full screen for no reason. Do you think Jack of Hearts knows that I actually have encouraged my audience to just plow into geese with their cars because geese are dicks?
That is accurate, actually.
Actually, someone in my chat after I did that said, oh, I killed a goose the other day. And I was like, how'd you do that? He was like, I just ran into it because it wouldn't get out of the way. And I was like, well, I hope your car's okay. Because this was more like of a little joke, but then apparently he actually just ran
This
over a
channel
goose.
has no liability for
Yeah.
your driving habits, guys.
Yeah,
Rules
drive at
and
your own
everything
risk.
else.
So if you look at Mars every
Breathe in
night through a
deep.
telescope, you see Mars is going across the sky. You know, the planets or the stars stay pretty stationary, but the planets move. That's what planet means, wanderer. Planet means.
He got that right too. Take a drink. Kent's actually doing pretty well here.
Sure, but like, is he gonna just redefine wanderer to mean planet now? Because
Well, no,
he
he's
kinda
saying
does that
planet
kinda
means
thing.
wanderer, which is true because that
Yeah,
comes from
but that's the kinda
planetos
thing he
in
does.
Greek. Well, he might. And
Yeah,
if he
but
does
that's
that,
not like the current definition of planet.
No.
Isn't
no.
wanderer,
But
right?
I'm going to allow Kent to get an etymology right. But if he then tries to say that that's what the word has to mean now,
'Cause, dinosaur just means terrible lizard, right?
Kent Owens' employee says AIG or geese. Nice. I would have accepted that as a super chat drink trigger.
Wanderer. I think 5 of the planets, not counting Earth, are visible with the naked eye. If you know where to look and stare long enough, you can see them.
All right, let's see. Mercury, Venus, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn. so technically, Uranus is visible with the naked eye, but it's like you have to have. Oh, it's whatever. That planet named after the Titan, Uranus, is technically visible on a really dark night by the naked eye if you have really good vision. But the thing is, it's not reliable, and so it was not reliably spotted until the advent of telescopes. And those other 5 are the ones that are still considered planets that were known. And also, Anne Gladstone says for $5, late to the party, but glad to be here. AIG is a bag of geese sticks. I'll take a drink for that. We're glad to hear it too, Anne. And I believe I spelled your name correctly in this month's credit scene, Anne. So, fingers crossed. Because I'm not redoing it, because it took me almost the entire day to get that, 40-second clip figured out in my computer. I think so too. Oh yeah, Don Giovanni reminds me that scientists changed the name of Uranus back in the 22nd century to avoid that, juvenile joke, and now it's called rectum.
Our little bitty telescope we've got here at Dinosaur Adventureland, the little 2-inch scope, you can see the rings on Saturn with that, It doesn't take a lot to see the rings on Saturn. Of course, the moon is, the craters are highly visible with a naked eye. With a little magnification at all, and you can see some amazing things on the moon.
I mean, technically these things are true, but should we drink for it? Because he's just going on about very basic astronomy stuff.
Well, I'm just waiting for him to get to a point because
Okay.
I feel like he's laying down some premises. He's going to make this big leap and then say something absurd, and then he's going to mention Godwin's law, and then we're all going to take a bunch of drinks.
Okay.
Agreed.
But the planets wander through the sky. However, if you watched Mars and plotted it night after night, here we are. If you look at it at the same time, say midnight, same time every night, you look, where's Mars? Here it is, here it is, here it is, here it is, here it is. And then for 2 weeks, it goes backwards. Here it is, here it is, here it is, and turns around and goes back again. Here it is, here. Well, that's because we're passing it up.
Okay, so I'm going to take 2 drinks. First, I'm going to take a drink for reasonably explaining both what retrograde motion is and why it happens, because he got both of those basically right. He didn't give a very detailed description, but it's good enough for a kid. So, and it apparently his target audience is just a bunch of children. So we're going to take a drink.
Yeah.
But I'm also going to take a drink for pretending that Mars is the only planet that does this. No, they all do this. Some of them pass
Wait,
us
did
up.
he say that only
Yeah.
Mars does it?
He said that Mars was the big problem
my
planet
gosh.
here, which
The big
just
problem.
no.
I mean, it is well, for geocentrism, yes, but
No, he said
I don't
Mars
think he
was the
said
big
that
problem.
Only
There-
Mars does it.
He said that Mars
mean,
was the one that
Mercury does
really
it.
did it.
Oh, well, Mars, that's funny because Mercury is going to be doing retrograde 4 times this year instead of its usual 3. So
Ooh.
that's a problem.
All the
That's a
astrology
problem.
people better watch out. But Jack of Hearts also just became a new member at the Tetrapod level. Welcome to the Tetrapod level. Anyone who's a member, please send Jack of Hearts some of my Tetrapod emojis as well as some Dapper Dino emojis. I would greatly appreciate that. That's the little green guy and of course me. So, welcome to the party. Do contact me if you need the link for the Discord, which you probably will. I think my old one may have expired. Also, if you look at my community tab, you will see early access to various videos. So, have fun with that. Like my Andrew Snelling in the Flood series that I just released the first one of last week. Yep, you'll be able to watch, I think, at least the next 2 episodes. So, Thank you very much. It's greatly appreciated.
in the orbits, okay? So they came across this problem where they noticed that the planets appeared to go backwards for a week or two and then took off again forward. Well, that's the same effect you would have if somebody's way out in front of you and they're driving 40 mile an hour and you're driving 50 mile an hour around a racetrack. Well, they'll be in front of you, but as pretty soon, you know, they're back behind you and then they take off again. You know, they're still behind you, but they're, you know, there's no longer the loop back. Well, there were all kinds of scientists trying to figure out how on earth can these planets be going backwards. And so they developed a theory called epicycles. And you can see on the picture here on the left,
That's true.
they
I'll
got
take
the
a drink.
planets not only going around the Earth, they have them going little circles as they go around the Earth. So it's looping. They called it epicycles to
I'm just gonna say it's weird for Kent to have gone this long without saying something that's just amazingly dumb. I'm not sure how I feel about it, but okay. I mean, Kent is actually teaching us the history of astronomy here, and he's getting it basically right.
explain how the planets could be making this backwards motion. And the more study that was done on this in the 1500s and 1600s, the more people became concerned that maybe our basic theory is wrong. And so then guys come along like Galileo and Copernicus and other guys, and you know, they start arguing about this. You know, who's got the right theory
Mention Kepler,
for
please.
the order of the universe.
He's not.
And
gonna
there were
do
some, especially in the Catholic Church, who were very dogmatic that the Earth is the center of the solar system. Everything goes around the Earth. We are it. The Earth doesn't move. It is stationary. And they would use verses like Joshua told the sun to stand still, you know, etc. See, the sun couldn't stand still
like
if the Earth was going around the sun.
Think.
Yeah, although
Literally, the sun revolves around us because we're the Christians.
I'm actually not sure if anyone was using the sun standing still as
Yeah, I don't think that's.
But I also don't know if it's not the case. Like, I can't say that didn't happen because, like, I mean, people said all sorts of crazy stuff in the past, so like that they still do. So I don't know. Maybe it happened. Oh, and for $2 dues, John Rapp says, even worse for AIG, they desperately need Viagra. That's close enough. I'll take a drink. Good thing they got that baculum, huh? Or as it's also known in Latin, os penis, which literally just means penis bone in Latin. Fancy.
Dun, dun, dun.
Baculum just means stick in Latin, so.
It just reminds me of Scott Bakula, though.
I wasn't
Yeah.
going to
Similar
say it
sound.
because I like Scott Bakula.
I
quite a bit.
do. He's
Okay,
the best,
you guys
right?
want to hear the worst Scott Bakula story?
Okay.
It's pretty quick.
Well, yes.
So
Because I
it's
have a positive one, but I won't share it.
about sliders, right? Not sliders. Quantum leap. That's what I meant. The other one where people are
Well,
going
for
around.
this-
Yeah. Okay. So Scott Bakula played a guy named Sam Beckett in that show, and the show was suddenly canceled, and they didn't actually have time to make a final episode of the show. So the last episode they made, they just tagged a little bit of it on at the end, a little title card basically that said, like, thanks for being loyal fans of Quantum Leap. Sam Beckett, spelled wrong, never made it home. That's how the series ends. Yeah. It just ends with a title card saying Sam Beckett never made it home, and they can't even spell the character's name right.
And if you want to look into it, you can read about what their plans were for the next coming seasons, and that show was gonna...
It was gonna get crazy.
It was gonna, I think, go to the next level. I don't know if it would have worked, but it was gonna try and take it to the next level. They had some pretty...
That also reminds me...
ambitious plans.
At the end of the final climactic battle in one of the worst seasons of Power Rangers ever, Super Megaforce, they played the wrong theme song. They played the Power Rangers Samurai theme song after the final blow that defeats the last monster. It's just like, come on, guys. It was already a bad season, and you just had to make it just so much worse with the wrong theme song. Anyway, here we go.
And when people dared to question what's called...
When Goop 2 points out Poochie died on the way to his home planet. Yes!
Yes.
Poochie!
Yes.
The geocentric theory, man, they got in serious trouble. Galileo was called in before a council of Catholic elders and priests and says, look, you either...
I mean, bishops and cardinals, but okay. Okay, I'm going to take a drink.
He has no idea how Catholic hierarchy works.
Elders
Not even a little.
are priests, right?
Yeah, exactly.
That's what that is. The word that you're looking in Greek at in Greek when it's translated elders is presbyteros, or presbyteroi in nominative plural, whatever, doesn't matter. That word literally becomes the word priest in English. And the people who were doing the priest thing in churches that call some of their clergy priests are taking their cues from the bits in the Bible where it talks about elders. And when it says overseers in your New Testament translation, that's literally Greek episkopos, which is where English actually gets the word bishop, right? These aren't words that someone just made up one day in the Catholic Church and they were just like, I would like to just completely ignore what the New Testament says about ecclesiology and come up with my own terms for Christian clergy. That didn't happen. That never happened. Not a thing. So, who was actually there were bishops and cardinals. And cardinals are advisors to the Pope, who are, at least now, required to be bishops. At the time, the title could be given to other clergy, but it almost never was. There were very few non-bishop cardinals in the entire history of the Catholic Church. Anyway.
Cant of this heresy, because he was teaching, look, I think the evidence shows we're going around the sun, not the sun going around the earth.
Nope, he was never accused of heresy. Okay, so I'm gonna finish this beer. I'm gonna open up a new one. I'm gonna take a swig from it, and then we're gonna go over the Galileo thing. If either of my co-hosts would like to fill some dead air while I chug some beer, let me know. Come on, guys, dead air.
I love dead air. Have you ever? Okay, it's been a while since he was on the air, but there was a late night talk show host who did things a little different, and he would do with his guests on this. Would you like to do an awkward pause? And then they would just do this awkward pause. It's pretty funny. I mean, they're professional actors though, so they could do the faces. Yeah, I'll do dead air.
Okay, there you go. I just took a swig of my new beer. Because now we have to get into the Galileo affair after I read Jack of Hearts' £5 super chat. Jack of Hearts says, I think Bent is a little jaded by this point with his summary of something true thing, something but BS science, something National Socialist German Workers Party. Yeah.
Something like that. I'm blaming the booster. I'm blaming the lower back pain that's pretty bad the last couple days. And yeah, that's it.
Okay, so was Galileo accused of going against church teachings? No, he was not. Was the Catholic Church as a whole, like as an organization, anti-heliocentrism? No, they were not. In fact, Galileo was invited to have audiences with more than one pope who received him favorably, listening to his geocentric ideas. Also, his sponsor in the church, the guy who paid literally all of his bills, his patron, the kind of person from which we get the name of things like patronage and Patreon, Patreon, that guy.
Link in the description.
Right, link in the description. That guy was a cardinal in the Catholic Church. This guy was like a step down from the Pope, right? What actually happened was, first, Galileo was kind of a dick, right? Like, he was a jerk to people. He would make fun of people. He was very mean. So he made some enemies, first of all. Second, he was actually commissioned by the Catholic Church to write a book about various cosmological models. And so he was supposed to go over all of the current cosmological models and explain what they said. And there were three big competing ideas at the time. There was geocentrism, which Kent already described. There was heliocentrism, which is basically what we believe now. But there was also geoheliocentrism, in which the sun goes around the Earth, but all the other planets go around the sun. Now, that was actually the leading one at the time, because it was the one that was making the best predictions. Galileo could not match the precision of the predictions of geoheliocentrism because he believed that orbits would be circular. Therefore, his math just didn't work out. It was okay, but it didn't match the precision of geoheliocentrism. So the church at the time, noticing this, because remember, to this day, the Catholic Church is a major player in astronomy. They own telescopes not far from where I live. It's like I could look at the mountain that their telescopes are mounted on. I do look at that mountain. Yeah, see, Bent is pointing towards it.
Dark, but it's out there,
Right.
right up there.
So they were like, hey man, you can't write books where you proclaim that geocentrism is just a fact, right? You can argue for it, you can give your predictions, you can give your calculations, you just can't say that it's a definite fact. And Galileo was, oh, okay. So when he's commissioned to write this book, instead of actually doing what he was commissioned to do, he compared two models, geocentrism and his own heliocentrism. He ignored geoheliocentrism, and he also basically only gave criticisms for geocentrism and only praise for heliocentrism. And then to get it past the censors, who would have noticed this, he sent letters to opposite sides of the Mediterranean, basically saying, oh, hey, I asked the censors in this place, and they said it was okay. They said to the other guy, oh, I asked the censors in that other place, and they said it was okay. So when he sent his manuscript to both publishers, they both got letters from him saying that he'd passed it by the censors, which at the time, you had to get anything that you wrote past the censors. Am I okay with this like continent-wide censorship by the Catholic Church? Sorry, no, of course not. But that's how everything operated at the time. And it wasn't a matter of heresy. So then, unsurprisingly, he's hauled before the Catholic Church, who say, okay, 1, you didn't write the book you were commissioned to. 2, you lied about having gotten it past the censors. And 3, you violated the rule to not proclaim geocentrism as a fact, which we explicitly said you couldn't do. And then after Galileo realized that his argument of the tides wasn't going to win the day, he basically was like, yeah, I guess I did. And the recommendation was actually that he be excommunicated and banished. Instead, he was excommunicated and put under house arrest because some of his friends, who were, spoiler alert, high-ranking Catholic clergy, which is the only reason they were there, some of them argued for mercy. If it had been an actual heresy trial, he might have actually been under threat of death, but he wasn't, because it wasn't a real heresy trial. There was no heresy involved. The Catholic Church was not against geocentrism. So I'm going to take another drink for that long-winded dive into the Galileo affair. Also, the reason his book was on the banned book list in the Catholic Church for so long was simply because he lied about it to get it past the censors. That's it.
I mean, it sounds like he was doing pretty bad science for
Oh, he was doing terrible
in that
science.
story.
Galileo was not a good scientist because he couldn't
I don't know
actually
what
make the
the
predictions.
standards were back then, but I feel like if he were to be around now and do something like that, he might never do science
yeah.
again.
Well, he basically
Because he
meets
wouldn't be-
the modern definition of a pseudoscientist, where his predictions were not confirmed, he didn't modify his ideas, and he just insisted that they were true anyway. And, I mean, that's what pseudoscience is. Anyway, here we go. Like I said, we're only through 10 minutes of this. We're already more than halfway done with the show.
And he would go through all the mathematics. Says, look, the planets can't reverse their order. These little epicycle theory is stupid. It doesn't work.
No, he didn't say that because it did work, and he knew it worked. Because the thing is, epicycles did work. The whole reason there was a problem here, I'm going to take a drink for Ken Hovind not understanding what epicycles are, and basically in general. The whole reason there was this problem is because you could use epicycles to give you very, very exact predictions about the locations of planets far into the future. You could sit here right now and use the very complicated math of epicycles and make precise and accurate predictions about the location of Mars in the sky 2,000 years from now. Because they did work. They're just overly complicated. And when you use heliocentrism, suddenly everything works better. And now that we've actually sent things into space where you could actually test the differences beyond just the locations of planets, we found that yes, in cases where you can't actually just exchange the math one for one, yeah, heliocentrism works, geocentrism does not. So,
We are going around the sun, and so is Mars, and that explains why we're passing it up, and it appears to be going backwards. It's true. It's very logical. But boy, the Catholic Church got all upset and said, man, you are upsetting all of our theology, and we're going to...
He upset literally zero theology. Not even an iota of theology. I cannot stress this enough. Nothing about the Galileo affair was about theology. Nothing. And I'm taking a drink.
burn you at the stake unless you recant of this heresy.
Nope, he was never threatened with execution, stake or otherwise. Take a drink for that.
I want you to write a book saying, no, you're sorry, you're wrong. Everything goes around the earth.
Nope, he was never asked to write a book about it. He was asked to recant, and he refused.
But an established worldview is called a paradigm. You want to write that down. Paradigm, P-A-R-A-D-I-G-M, I believe is the spelling. Paradigm.
Yes.
Yes,
That
good
is
job.
the
He
way-
did get it. Hey, you know what? He got it.
He got it
Hey,
right.
you
We'll
think
take,
about it. That's fine.
we'll take a drink. Good job, Kent. You got that silent G in there.
Is it, what's that word I told you to write down? You know, on his quiz for next week.
Yeah.
Paradigm. Like, is that what he's doing right now?
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
Oh.
If you look at things, the way people look at things. Your paradigm is another way to say your worldview. If someone has an
Kinda.
established worldview of geocentrism, in other words, the Earth is the center, it's very difficult to overturn that, especially when most of the world believed that, because after all, that's what the scientists taught. That's what.
Nope. As I was saying, the leading cosmology model was geoheliocentrism, in which Earth is at the center, Sun goes around the Earth, all the other planets go around the Sun.
The priests taught. And nobody thought to check it out, but
Oh,
everybody
drink from
believed
Mothra.
it. And they said the Earth doesn't move. Well, there were quite a few
Actually, it's the Bible who says that the Earth doesn't move. Just going to point that out there.
scientific experiments done during that time that said, hey guys, the Earth does move. Quite a few observations were made. Like, for instance, if you take a pendulum, you get a heavy rock or a weight and you get it swinging on a rope. If you let it swing and come back and look at it in a couple hours, it's swinging over this way.
Unless you're at the equator. But yeah, this is Foucault's pendulum, and yes, it is a good observation that the Earth spins, although the Earth spinning and the Earth orbiting the Sun are separate things, and I kind of hate that Kent seems to be conflating them here.
I mean, you
It
did get
moved.
really, really comfortable with him.
Well, they
saying
knew
so
from the laws of physics that
lies
Sorry.
for a long time.
Oh, sorry, say that again?
I was gonna say you got too comfortable. He was telling not straight up like untruthitudes for too long.
Right, yeah. He spent like about a minute and a half actually describing like in rough outlines like the history of astronomy, and then suddenly I'm now hypersensitive to him just saying nonsense.
an object that's moving is going to stay moving unless it's acted on by an outside force. So what would be the force? A French scientist named Foucault,
Wow. No.
F-U-C-A-U-L-T, F.
Ah! F-O-U-C-A-L-T.
I don't know. I didn't know.
The thing is, you probably wouldn't try to spell it off of memory because you can't spell French.
I
Foucault.
would. I wouldn't have even spelled paradigm because I would have just assumed that people in a 200 level course, college
Or
course,
have basic
the
English
term
literacy.
Paradigm.
Yeah. Oh well.
I mean, look, in my biology, 100 level college courses, they were like, this is what we mean by paradigm, and they defined it and had it like, for the purposes of this course, we mean this.
Which is fair.
And yeah, and so like, I mean, we weren't like quizzed on what the word paradigm meant, but we had to understand it as a concept, right?
Right.
So, as a biology concept, as the history of biology and how it's changed and how science has learned things over generations and centuries and all that.
So Phantom
But-
Eagle said is about. I'm about to read one of his chats, or her. I don't really know. One of Phantom Eagle's chats. There you go. No pronouns this sorry. But also, Ben, take a look at the profile
Yeah, I
picture
saw
for
that.
Phantom Eagle.
You think I didn't see that already?
Oh,
I
yeah.
saw-
Anyway, Phantom Eagle says, look at Aaron Ra's videos on Kent. He does a good job taking them. Yes, and look,
Yeah.
I've been accused of not liking Aaron Ra here because occasionally I criticize him. But that's not the case. I criticize people who I do like as well as people who I don't like. So, basically, Aaron Ra would strongly disagree with me about the history of the Galileo affair and he would agree with Kent, ironically enough. But yeah, I also like Kent Hovind. I really like his debate series that he did where Kent proposed a video debate. And
So good.
yeah, it's really good.
Is it like? Wasn't there supposed to be more of it? And then-
Yeah, but then
I don't
Kent
remember
didn't
how it
bother.
ended. Yeah, I don't remember how it ended.
Kent was like, oh, it's on the back burner because he realized how badly it was going for him.
Oh, C-A-U-L-T, Foucault, I believe is his name.
Mm-mm.
It's
He did a lot of
hours,
experiments with the
though.
pendulum.
That playlist is hours of.
Oh, yeah, like that's like if you would decide to sit down and watch it, that's your day.
Mhm.
He would hang a pendulum, a very, very huge brass ball that weighed, hundreds of pounds, so it's unaffected by the wind or anything else, it's just too heavy. Hang it from a tough cable and get this thing swinging. And you come back and watch it, and pretty soon it's swinging over this way, and then pretty soon it's swinging over this way, and pretty soon it's swinging over this way.
Awesome.
And he did a thought experiment. They were real big in those days. He's doing experiments just by thought without actually trying it. Let's think this through.
I'm
Like
pretty sure that his experiment was physical and tangible and not just
Right? It's like,
thought.
let me describe this actual physical experiment. Then let me pretend that it was a thought experiment. I'm just going to take a drink for that one. That's just...
How did I not notice that when you said that?
Also, I like the idea that people don't do thought experiments now. It's like, no. You do a thought experiment, and if you can, then you go and do a real experiment.
What is it? Roko's Basilisk? That's a modern thought experiment.
Yeah. Actually, most of the ideas of like Einstein started as thought experiments, but then he and others actually did physical experiments to see if the thought experiment worked out. Like
yeah,
a thought
that's the difference. They actually went, I wonder if this is a thing. Here's how it probably works. Let's go get the math.
Right? Oh well. Here we go.
Leo with this thought experiment, because everybody said a big rock falls faster than a small rock. Galileo says, I don't think that's true. They said, oh yeah, we know it's true because Aristotle said it. He was a smart.
I'm sorry?
A piece of me dies when he says Galileo.
Oh yeah. Because it's Galileo.
I have a question. Did Galileo prove, like, did he have access to a vacuum? Create a vacuum and test it?
No.
Test his theory?
He did not have access to an actual vacuum.
Right. I don't know, man. It's probably more of a semantical question. Like, I'm being really nitpicky on what this slide says, exactly how it's phrased.
Yeah.
Curious.
And so he didn't prove it. Let's hear what Kent has to say, and then we'll respond to it more thoroughly.
Yeah.
Man, he said it 2,000 years ago, so we know it's true. And Galileo said, well, hey guys, if I took a 10-pound rock and a 5-pound rock and I dropped them, would the 10-pound rock fall faster? They said, oh yeah, of course. He said, well, what if I took a 10-pound rock and I broke it in half, but I tied the two pieces together with a string and I dropped it? Is it going to fall like a 5-pound rock or a 10-pound rock? Absolutely stumped him. Like, oh, duh, wow, I don't know. Okay.
So actually, that's true. So I'll take a drink for Kent getting this idea correct, basically. It was one of the thought experiments. It was like, okay, so if heavy things fall faster, what if I take a chunk out of a heavy thing and then tether them together? Does one of them fall like a heavy thing and it drags the other one? Do they both fall together because they're tied together? What actually happens? And the fact that no one really had a good answer is what led to then people actually doing tests, like just actually literally dropping things off of buildings and seeing which one hit the ground first. So, yeah, it was a big revolution because intuitively you feel like big, heavy things should fall faster. But then you come to contradictions like this. And so, honestly, this is the best that I think Kent has ever done on Kent with Bent. I mean, he's still amazingly stupid in many ways. But, like, I'm going to give Kent props on this one so far, and I know I will probably live to regret this later.
This is still one long setup. He's still going to have to come to...
Why evolution is wrong, though?
I look at this as all this is just laying down premises. What's your conclusion? And then I expect Godwin's Law right around that time, a little afterwards.
Oof.
And we're still in that, right? I said that, what, 30 minutes ago or so? I don't know.
Actually, Vishanti, did you see the last one? Kent with Bent, where Kent went with... The last Kent with Bent, where Kent went with the only reason that the members of the National Socialist German Workers' Party were so evil is because most of them were gay.
Yes, but I recommended you the books that he took that from.
Oh, right, because you did. Yeah, you sent me the link. Yeah, that was. This is a big contrast to this episode because that one basically broke me. I was like, I can't anymore, and like I actually told you, like I was pissed off for like 2 days.
It was pretty bad.
It was really, really bad. This one though is, I think, Kent's best performance so far. So, at least of these CSE classroom things.
I don't know. I mean, he started out saying we should kick dogs.
Well, yeah, it's never going to be... Look, the best Kent Hovind is not a high bar, right? It's like it's like tallest shrew. Like, okay, yeah, good job.
The best Kent Hovind promotes violence towards animals.
Yeah.
Like, it shouldn't be the case.
Oh, I agree.
There should be better.
I agree, but this is the world we live in, where Kent Hovind can have his best performance while starting out saying kicking dogs is a thing that you should do.
This is the world we live in, yeah.
And just with that simple thought experiment, didn't even do the experiment, just thought about it. They began to realize, wow, we may have...
Well, okay, that sounded like some frustrated sounds. Vishanti?
I'm confused. Did they actually have the pendulum swinging or not, Kent? Because you just said he did, and then he didn't, and then
Well,
he
no,
did,
this
and
is
then he
about the
didn't. I feel
dropping.
like-
This is about dropping the weights, not
Oh
the
yeah,
pendulum.
the weights.
Vishanti, did you have something? Because I think if I heard your brain just break. No? Okay. I think either her brain broke and she's gone, or...
It's a shame that we don't do these physical experiments to this
Which
day.
we do.
We only think about them, and it is astounding to me that he's not flat earther, given with how conspiracy prone he is and how he thinks that there's no way to test things. It's just it's almost beyond me, to be honest.
Oh, and I want to point out, the Venerable Bede says that him saying that, what I was talking about from last week, legit made me cry. Man, I'm sorry. That was a rough one. And I understand anyone who was like, that was too much for them. Because, like I said, I spent the next few days, like, legit not in a... I was very upset for the next 2 days, because just the fact that I had to have that, like, that it happened on my channel, that anyone heard any of that, I'm just like, But anyway, I don't want to keep talking about that, because that was a terrible, terrible experience for all involved, except I guess maybe Kent, but...
Well, I mean, look. His actions...
The problem...
Oh, sorry.
And by
with our
actions,
basic
I mean... Just
drink from
hearing
Mothra.
what he says on these Kent with Ben episodes, I feel like he's established that he's a pretty terrible person to a lot of people. He does not treat people well at all, which is just, to me, really ironic for someone who claims to be someone who should be loving their neighbor and their enemies.
You mean like Jesus said in the New Testament?
I think so, but I don't know. Is the New Testament
Weird.
in the King James? I think the King James only has the flood. That's it.
Yeah, it stops at
Is-
Genesis, like, what is that, like 4?
Because those, 3 pages in Genesis out of 2,000 plus pages are all of the Bible. That's why it's the only thing Ken talks about.
Yeah, basically. Well, he talks about the first chapter too.
That's true.
So I think for Kent, the entire Bible is basically like Genesis 1 through 4.
I mean, yeah, I am being a little hyperbolic or whatever,
Yeah.
but
Well, let's
I'd give him at least until chapter 7.
7. Okay.
yeah.
So
Also, just
7
so
is
that
what,
I
the
can
beginning of
remind
Abraham's
myself
story?
Before I forget, Joseph, if you have the citations from the particular tractates in the Talmud, I would like to read them, please. Thank you. Okay, proceed.
So I actually was wondering. So 7 is what, the beginning of the Abraham story?
No, that's a little later because 6 begins the flood, and then
Oh, okay. 7 is like
all that. So
post flood Noah stuff, right?
yeah, and then you get up to like maybe chapter 10ish,
Okay.
and then you start getting into the patriarchs. But yeah, I would give him at least. I'll just be generous and give him till 10.
Does Noah not count as a patriarch? I don't actually remember. 'Cause
I
it
mean,
never mattered much to me.
technically, if you refer to the patriarchs, if you go up to a Jew and say, who are the patriarchs? They're going to say Abraham, Isaac, Jacob.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah, I mean, I think Noah technically, it's like he's a key figure, but he's generally not regarded as in the category of patriarch.
I mean, I'm sure I knew that at one point, but like, I don't know, man. When I read the Bible, I surprisingly manage to get past Genesis sometimes. In fact, sometimes I even get past the first half of Genesis, believe it or not. Anyway, here we go.
Fine premise here. He said, what if I took him a 10-pound rock and broke it up into 10 pieces, all weighing a pound, but I tied them all together with strings and dropped them?
Yeah, we get it.
Is it going to fall like 1-pound rocks or a 10-pound rock? And finally, after going through the thought experiment, he said, guys, let's go try it. So they went up on the
Okay, so I'll let him finish the sentence.
Leaning Tower of Pisa, all know the story, and dropped off the cannonball and the BB, and hit the ground at the same time. And he proved something wrong that had been taught for 2,000 years.
Okay, so there is actually no good historical evidence that Galileo actually did this experiment. However, we do know that people did similar experiments. So this is one of those things where it's like, technically Kent is probably wrong here, but it's not very important because the experiment was confirmed by various people throughout history and we still test it. So, like, I'm going to let it slide is what I'm saying. It's like, he's getting the history a little bit wrong here, but like it's a common misconception and it doesn't really negate the basics of what's going on here.
Now, when it comes to the geocentric, heliocentric argument, believe it or not, there are still some very smart people who are geocentrists.
Are there, though? I know there are some, but are they very smart? That's not fair. Some of them are very smart and very, very motivated in their thinking. I know of, there's a Dr. Sungenis, I think, who's like a trad cath, who's also, that's traditionalist Catholic, who's also like, look, we're not going to start talking about trad caths, but who also is a geocentrist. And no, we're not going to talk about trad cats, even though I almost started to. We're going to keep going.
I mean, you want to see me get triggered real fast.
I don't. So we're not talking about trad cats. No. Go scream at the dark in Latin while the rest of the Catholic Church moves on without you.
I've got several books in our library if you want to read up on the story about the geocentric theory. There are some people who sincerely I've got some good friends, very smart friends, who are still convinced the Earth is the center. And
Not as smart as you, though.
That's so unsurprising. I'm just going to take a drink because I can't not, because I'm so unsurprised that Kent Hovind has friends who take seriously the idea of geocentrism.
Oh, the funny part is that he thinks they're really smart. That's the funny part.
That's funny. I just... Okay, Kent.
Look, maybe they know a lot about something, but they don't know...
They don't know a lot about earth science or physics,
right?
or astronomy. Yeah.
the Earth doesn't move.
Well, it's funny the conspiracies that he's willing to put up with versus the ones that he just dismisses whole.
Yeah, flat Earth is right out of there, but geocentrism is like, it's okay. Okay.
Well, Foucault said, if you hung a pendulum over the North Pole, and by an imaginary way you can hang a pendulum swinging, and the Earth were...
What do you mean imaginary way? You can do that, Kent. If you go to the North Pole, there's a bunch of ice there. You could set up a...
man. Did they do it or not?
Yeah, I don't know.
Like,
well, they did...
gotta... Yeah, but
as
you know
far
what
as
I'm
I know...
saying? Like, Kent's not being clear is my point.
No. As far as I know, no Foucault's pendulum has been set up on either pole, but maybe I'm wrong about that. As far as I know.
Turning to a person on the ground, it would appear like the pendulum is changing its swing.
Mm-hmm.
Because the person on the ground would see the Earth, because the Foucault pendulum would prove the Earth is turning.
Well, it would demonstrate, but okay.
Now, when you get right on top of the equator and do it, it doesn't work.
Okay, I'm actually kind of shocked that Kent got that right, and it's actually something I mentioned way earlier, so I'm taking a drink for Kent getting this right, because yeah, on the equator, Foucault's pendulum doesn't work. It doesn't turn at all, and that's how you can actually, that's the way you could test where the equator is. So good job, Kent. I'm honestly impressed, because that's something I expect like normal, non-crazy people to get right. Or sorry, to not know. And that just made me spill a tiny little bit of beer. So, whoops.
Before we start, just I'll throw this out there. In regards to the TooMayDemons, Joseph, I know you haven't provided any actual like tractate citations, but TooMayDemons just means hidden. It means you can't tell the genitalia of the person in question. And there are many, obviously, because it's Judaism, there's many different opinions about what laws do and don't apply to that person because you cannot tell which genitalia they have. So that's all that's talking about. But the thing is that Talmudic literature does not draw distinctions between sex and gender like most modernized society. So it doesn't map one-to-one with our discourse. Thank you. Good night.
Okay.
But if you're anywhere off the equator, like here at Pensacola at 30 degrees north latitude, you will try. You can try. Get a pendulum swinging, and gradually it starts moving over, swinging a different direction, and swinging further. When I was up in Alaska at Fairbanks, they've got a big science center there with a huge Foucault pendulum with a bunch of little pegs they set up every day.
I like those.
And as the thing swings around, it knocks the peg over. How many have ever seen one of those? Smithsonian has a huge one.
Okay, Kent asked a question of his audience, which means we now have to ask a question of my audience, which is going to be how many of you have ever seen a Foucault's pendulum? I'll let you know that I have, because I used to go to the Museum of Science in Boston fairly frequently, and they had a Foucault's pendulum set up, and it was set up with this like weird like Mesoamerican motif, which I don't really understand why, because as far as I know, the Mesoamericans never set up Foucault's pendulum, but whatever. This is going to be, have you ever seen a Foucault, I'm going to spell it correctly, pendulum in real
Ken
life?
got that right, by the way. 30.42 degrees north latitude.
Ooh, I'll take a drink
Pensacola.
for getting that right then.
I'm calling
I
that correct
also,
within a rounding error.
Yeah. All right, well,
I have
sorry.
seen a Foucault's pendulum because I've been to Griffith Observatory in LA. And
nice.
it's very cool. They have it like right there in the lobby. It's pretty awesome.
Well, that is now the poll that is up right now, so let me know. This is not one of those things where like the answer is going to be funny either way. It's just like, it's my rule. When Kent asks a question of his audience, I ask the same question of my audience. It's what I do. So here we go.
And, probably weighs 3 tons, giant brass ball hanging like
I highly doubt it weighs 3 tons, but whatever.
from a 70-foot cable or something. And they try to make it as frictionless as possible.
Mm-hmm.
But it does demonstrate the Earth does turn. The Foucault pendulum is one of the proofs the Earth is actually turning.
I'll take a drink. That's
Another one is the
basically
fact
true.
that if you are you more likely to get bugs smashed on your front windshield or on your back windshield?
Depends on
front.
what direction you're driving.
Yeah,
Well, okay, fair enough, but usually it's front. Thanks. I've never driven down the highway.
Sorry,
like,
listen. You invite a Jew on, I'm gonna bring up the fringe cases, okay?
that's
I'm
true.
gonna give you the Jewish answer.
Look, I remember you and I having a conversation about exactly when you can say the Shema and have it count as having it been in one day versus the other. So,
Yep. That's the very first opening topic in the Talmud. So.
yeah. So,
It's hard to smash them on the back windshield, right? Unless you're backing up real fast. Well, the Earth is flying through
There
space.
you go.
If the Earth is flying through space, you would expect that it would hit dust and debris and meteor rocks in space and cause, falling stars, comets, meteors, that kind of stuff.
okay.
Which time of the Earth would
And?
actually hit them the most? Well, if you think about it, the way the Earth is traveling around the sun, noon is always directly toward the sun.
Yeah.
If the Earth is turning,
Oh, he got
you're
that right. I'll take a
coming
drink.
from nighttime, which is on the backside,
Mhm.
into the sun at 6 a.m.
True. Ish.
You are coming into the sunlight half of the Earth.
Okay.
So 6 a.m. is the leading side of the bullet.
True. I'll
That's
take a
the front
drink.
bumper. Okay. 6 a.m. is the leading if the Earth is turning and the Earth is going through space. Somewhere,
So TC the Unbeliever says, is the back one called a windshield? No, I usually don't call it that. I think I just call it like the back window or something. I don't ever really call it anything, actually, now that I think about it. Yeah, I call it the back window. Like if someone smashed it in or something, I would say, oh, my back window got smashed into my car. But
Yeah.
I call it like rear window or
rear
something
window,
like
yeah,
that.
something like that.
For window.
Because the thing is, it's not really shielding you from the wind normally, because the wind is coming from the front generally. But yeah, Kent is generally right about this. Yeah, you're more likely to get shooting stars, like in the direction the Earth is traveling, basically.
plus or minus a few hours from 6 a.m., you would be much more likely to get meteor showers or to run into stuff. And sure enough, of course, you don't see them after 6 a.m. because the sun's out, but because it's
Yeah,
too
I
bright
think
and overpowered.
different meteor showers come from different directions.
They
And
do, but
some you
he's-
can see better at night. And I could be wrong.
They do,
I've been wrong
but
before. But
it is basically the case that meteor showers, no matter which direction they're coming from, do increase in frequency toward when you're like getting towards the point where the Earth, where you're looking up and that's facing the like prograde orbital vector of the Earth.
now I feel like he's getting really close to, making that big leap, giving a weird one sentence conclusion, and then jumping right to Godwin's law. I think we're getting close to that.
You're just waiting.
Because his premises are just getting a little more like, what are you talking? What does this have to do with anything?
Vesta Freya calls it rear window. Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
what is he?
It's also a very good movie.
What has all of this been about this entire episode? Like, what is he trying to support? What claim is he trying to support or disprove?
Dude,
Put yourself on
I don't even
a
know.
million tangents.
that a lot of people believe in evolution, but maybe some of them believe in creation, because that's what he started with. Like,
Yeah, he started with
is
polls
this
and
all
whatnot.
supposed to be supportive of that?
I
don't know
honestly
what he's
couldn't
going on
tell
about.
you. I really don't know. Well, here we go. We'll keep going.
There's the little brightness of the meteor. You can't see it.
Okay, so
But basically,
therefore,
after midnight, from after midnight, especially around 3 a.m. to 6 a.m., is the ideal time to see meteors. It is not the ideal time for many other reasons, okay? Just go to sleep. But if you want to see meteor showers, get up real early or go to bed real late, 3 or 4 or 5 a.m. is the time. Get away from the city, and you'll probably see buku meteors.
and therefore,
Yeah, or you can just drive out in the middle of the Sonoran Desert
Mm-hmm.
at 10 o'clock at night, and you'll still see them.
Actually, I remember one time, and this is apropos of nothing, basically. This has nothing to do with anything. But I remember one time I was driving from Las Cruces, New Mexico to Arizona. And there's a whole lot of nothing on that route for almost the entire way. And this was for work. And basically, this was my travel day. It was like a Saturday or something. And like I didn't have any particular hours that I had to be anywhere. And I just woke up early. I woke up at like 3 a.m. And I was like, you know what? I'm just going to get out of this hotel room. I'm going to go get myself a breakfast burrito. And I'm just going to drive. Whatever. And so it's like 3 a.m. And I'm on this desert highway where like the only other living thing in miles is like a coyote somewhere. And yeah, I stopped and I looked at the stars. And yeah, there's some shooting stars. And it was like, yeah, this is the best sky I've ever seen. Because like I'm miles away from any city of any significant size. There's just desert everywhere. There's no significant moisture in the air, so everything's very clear. Yeah, man, desert away from the city, sky gazing is the best sky gazing. I'm 100% with Vishanti on this one. That's why they set up so many observatories in the desert.
it is why.
Yeah. All right,
It
here we
turns
go.
out they're a little worried about, things like clouds or
Refraction from...
refraction.
Yeah, all that craziness.
Pollution.
Yeah.
Light pollution.
Mm-hmm. Here we go.
Well, that is another evidence that the Earth is actually moving through space.
Great.
You would not get that effect if we weren't moving.
Nah, I agree.
There would be equal numbers
Take a
at
drink.
all times, okay? There are 5 or 6 evidences that they
I'm not sure that second part is actually completely accurate, but whatever. I'm not going to contest it.
used back in the 1600s when they were arguing about this, argument. Does the Earth turn and does the Earth move? And there were scientists who were coming along with really irrefutable evidence saying, yes, the Earth is turning and the Earth is moving through space. And we are not the center of the solar system. Now, what does that mean? Well, some people took that as a threat to Christianity.
Yes, that's
And
true.
said, well,
I'll take a
then,
drink.
If the Earth's not the center, maybe these scientists are going to disprove God, or we're going to abandon Christianity and all that stuff.
Maybe,
And it would
maybe
be-
they shouldn't have been teaching that the Earth was the center of the universe as a biblical truth.
I just love
That
how...
must be true, like Kent does with the flood and the Earth being 6,000 years old. Maybe
Yeah.
don't put things in there it's not saying.
like you were saying, I
Take
just
it
love
too literally or
how much
be crazy.
Kent just is the guys who were like, oh no, this is a threat to my theology. And it's like,
He's that guy.
come on, man. How do you not see that that is you? That is literally you. You are doing that right now, a few hundred years later.
Became a real serious threat to Christians, and it should not have been. They had a false doctrine they were defending.
I'm just going to take a drink
thinking
because
they
I
were
can't
defending
stand
the
it.
Bible. I'm independent Baptist, and they do that all the time too. They get their whole list of doctrine that is added onto the Scripture. Of course, almost every church does that. Here's what the Bible says, and because of that, here's our 30 rules. How about let's just stick with what the Bible says, and your 30 rules. Those are negotiable.
You're allowed
they-
to have rules at your church that aren't directly from the Bible.
Right? Like,
Is that a thing that you shouldn't be allowed to do? Like, that's absurd.
yeah. If you have something like, the Budgetary Commission should have oversight from the Elders Board, no, because that's not directly in the Bible. So you're not allowed to do that. I think Guptu 3 says Kent, in brackets, describes himself. Couldn't be me, though.
Yeah.
Basically. I love how much of a self-own this part of the video is.
I like how successful characters in comedy sitcoms have characteristics reminiscent of Ken Hovind as a parody of that type of personality.
Well, that's the thing, is he's basically a real-world sitcom character, but the problem is that comes with the real-world consequences of being a sitcom character, which are actually pretty dark in many cases.
Yeah, it's not so funny because you can't turn it off. I mean, when the show's over, sure, but he's a real person
Who is
out there
ruining real
who's
lives.
ruining lives, abusing people, letting people, or however you want to phrase it, people are dying on his property. At least one, and there's
There's
potential other.
There may have been a kidnapping. Apparently, a
There's
child
potential other
disappeared. And,
criminal.
it's craziness.
I don't want to say allegations are hearsay or whatever. Like, does it mean?
I mean, he's a
any of it's
convicted
true,
spouse
but-
abuser.
Well, that part's true, but like, there's other potential things that are going
Oh,
on
yeah.
that could just be rumored. I mean, whatever. I'm not gonna say any. There's stuff happening for sure, and stuff that might not be for sure.
Right. Yeah, but the not for sure stuff is pretty dark. Also,
It's pretty dark, but it's not for sure. So I'm gonna
I gotta
not
say-
act like it's for sure yet.
I like the scan lines because this is a VHS rip. So we get those wonderful VHS scan lines that you get when you rip VHS to digital. And it's like nothing. No, it has nothing to do with Kent, right? Because like he's filming it this at a time when VHS is the way to go. But I just like it from like it's got that really
is-
old analog aesthetic that no one ever
Analog,
reproduces.
yeah.
Because I've seen that a
Love
lot. I didn't know that was when you go from VHS to digital.
Yeah.
Horizontal lines.
Because digital will tend to upscale the well, going from VHS to digital, it'll upscale the frame rate, but it does it in sort of like a naive way. So you get those weird scan lines where that's like the interlacing between frames. And it's just taking as a frame. Anyway,
Added to the Word of God, and they come up with this false idea of the geocentric theory and said, see, anybody that disbelieves this is a heretic and should be burned at the stake.
well, the Catholic Church didn't do that, at least not around the Galileo affair, but okay.
To purify the church. You got to burn them to get this evil spirit out of them and all that stuff. It was sad, but that's what happened. Finally, after a long battle, the heliocentric theory won out. But as I mentioned, there are still some very smart people who hold to the geocentric position. People ask me, what do you think,
Very
geocentric or heliocentric?
smart.
I say,
Not smart.
Yeah, no.
Very smart.
Goodness. Look, they might be intelligent, but when I think of smart, I think of intelligent and well-informed. And you can't be both and be a geocentrist.
I just think of it like you can't be so blatantly wrong about something that's been known for so many centuries and be considered smart. Maybe about something else, but not about that.
Yeah. All right, we're only going to get a little bit more in, then we're going to wrap it up.
well, I taught physical science for years. I think I would be a very tough case to convince otherwise. I'm willing to listen, but I am very convinced the heliocentric position is right. The
Well, good
sun
for
is
you.
the center of the solar system.
If he had recorded this today, he'd be talking about flat earthers right now.
But the Earth is the center of the universe.
What?
Solar system is the 9 planets going around our sun.
Okay.
I want-
And now we are waiting for Godwin's
Oh,
law because
okay. No, this is going to be interesting. I want to hear what he has to say.
Oh, that's
Let's-
his conclusion.
Let him finish the thing.
Yeah, no,
The
I'll let
universe
him.
is the whole thing, okay? So this little, 93 million mile circle we go around, radius circle we go around, is basically nothing compared to star distance. And so
Okay.
from our vantage point, it appears that most of the stars are receding away from us.
Oh, he means galaxies because Kent doesn't know the difference between galaxies and stars. So I'm taking a drink for that.
Oh, unfortunate.
My goodness, that is. All right, I'm going to end this poll. And by the way, 54% of my audience who voted have seen a Foucault's Pendulum in real life. I would encourage all of you who haven't, see if there's one near you and see if you can check it out because they're actually really cool. There were 41 votes, which is about like 2/3 of the audience or so. Actually, it's exactly 2/3 of the current audience, but like, I don't know, total audience, unique viewers, whatever. So yeah, we're going to end with Kent confusing galaxies and stars, which I feel like my audience doesn't need to be told why it's dumb to confuse those things. It's like confusing forests and trees, you know?
No.
It's possible the person that was banned might still be watching, though. So
Oh, that's
maybe-
true. He might
Maybe
be.
they need an explanation.
Yeah. I never actually expected Faithful, Honest, and True to show up and then try to gaslight me about his death threats against me. That's a special
Oh.
kind of crazy talk. But then again, he is the guy who showed up on my channel and then decided to talk about like hard drugs and people coming back from the dead after losing all of their blood. And his evidence for this was a guy gave a talk in a church, and I have a YouTube video of it. It's just like,
Oh, that person
Cool.
needs some kind of help.
All right.
yeah, actually, that's legitimately
my
true.
cat's breath smells like cat food.
Basically, yeah, we're
Listen,
in some
I
Ralph
just-
Wiggum territory.
I just saw
Yeah.
a professional athlete just kind of like retire mid-game, and it looks like there's some people that have issues, and I could make fun of them, or I could say maybe some people need help. Okay, so like
So-
maybe Faithful, Honest, and True should get some help.
The reason that I don't particularly care if Faithful, Honest, and True gets help is because of the death threat. At that point, I don't really care about you no more, no matter what your problems are.
Oh, I think you just need even more help if you're going there.
I mean, honestly, at that point, just log off.
Yeah, like Faithful, Honest, and True should not be on the
No.
internet right now. Anyway,
Nope. Just log
Um,
off. Anyway.
okay, let's do some any plugs. Vishanti, do you have anything to plug?
Specifically, no. It's another week as usual on my various streams. So
Okay.
we're gonna be doing National Bunker 33 Saturday night, and then Sunday night is usually uncalled for on the shills. So
There you go. Ben, got anything to plug?
There's merch, link in the description.
Okay, you can plug my merch. That's fine. Actually, I just took my first draw of my merch like last month because I forgot which email account I was using for my merch store. So for over a year, I was like had no access to that thing. But now that I have it back, I might actually upload some new merch. And yes, that is a wonderful T-shirt, and you have a wonderful blanket in the background. So I am thinking about doing some more merch. There might be some speculative evolution stuff. For those of you who care, yes, I am going to be getting back to the speculative evolution project. I need to get a little bit ahead again on videos because the last couple of weeks I didn't really work on any videos because I was just kind of taking a break for holidays, end of year stuff, and because I was getting a little burnt out. So once I'm ahead again, that will be a thing that I start working on again. Let's see. Let's take a look at a calendar. Find out what's coming up.
while you're looking at that, Robert Madewell says, "I need to fill up my glass of water." Water.
So let's see. Thursday, I think it's going to be a upload of a chat I had between myself and Jackson Wheat and a creationist called Bread of Life. Her name's Rebecca. That's what she wants to go by, but her channel's name is Bread of Life. Saturday should be the next Kent Hovind dissertation reading, to which both of my panelists here are invited.
Woohoo!
Let's see. Monday, I should be on the Non Sequitur show talking about accelerated Christian education, which is a homeschool curriculum for Christians. It's also used in a few, I think, charter schools that are like Christian charter schools or something. It's basically the worst thing. It's just terrible. Even disregarding the like pseudoscientific nonsense, it's just a terrible way to teach children in general. Let's see. Then the 11th is planned to be a Eric with Erica. Then the 13th, which is a Thursday, should be the next episode of Andrew Stelling in the Flood called Pants on Fire, because the first one was called Liar Liar. There you go. Then the 15th should be, if all goes according to plan, the live stream of the nominations for the Cambrian Bunny Creationist Award show. We're going to have 4 categories. And I'm about to list them, and if I get the number wrong, well, don't sue me. But we have Best Creationist Overall for Any Reason. We have Worst Creationist, or Creationist with the Worst Arguments. We have Worst Behaved Creationist. And we have Creationists who had the worst use of the English language. Those are our four big categories. And so I'm hoping to have Dr. Dan, maybe Jackson Wheat, maybe Gutsy Gibbon. Like, I'm opening up to a whole bunch of people who do, like, anti-creationist YouTube stuff to come in and nominate a few people. And then I'm going to let my audience vote on who is going to be the winner of each category. And then, hopefully next month, we're going to actually have the award show where we award our 4 creationists their award for those categories. So,
Bless their heart, they're all going to take it as a badge of honor.
I mean, probably. Actually, so we did a YouTube creationist tier list, and Sal Cordova was in our S tier. And to this day, he is proud of that, and I think rightfully so. He says, I was voted the YouTube's #1 creationist by a panel of evolutionists. I'm like, you were, for good reason, so good job, buddy. Because I like Sal. Sal's a good guy. Anyway, we're going to get out of here, and I am going to show you guys, hopefully, the end credit scene that I spent most of today working on. And I hope you enjoy it. And, bye. I just want to take a minute to thank my patrons and channel members, especially those pledging $20 or above. Bob Knob, Bent Hovend, Denny525, Ian Chen, John Ackerman, Landon Knoll, Lingway, Sphincter of Doom, The Venerable Bede, and Patrick Dennis. My channel members and patrons help keep the lights on here at Casa Dino, and they also help make this channel possible, because without them, you'd be lucky to get 1 video a week out of me, never mind 3. If you'd like to support either as a patron or a channel member, there are links below. Also, if a monthly pledge or even an annual pledge isn't right for you, there are other ways you can support the channel. There's a merch store and an Amazon wishlist. And of course, if none of that's right for you, just hitting like, sharing this video, and commenting really helps out a lot. Thank you.